Anthony Pietrobono here, back with another video. And on today's video, we're going to talk about how many stocks you should purchase and invest in with $10,000. Now, before we go into the video, remember this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment purposes only. Before we go into the video, let's take a look at what Warren Buffett says.
We think diversification, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood, and to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness. Within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love it, the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well.
Now, the short answer to this video, you could essentially click away after, is that it depends. It depends on the individual. It depends on what you prefer. What do you feel safe with? Because at the end of the day, you have to understand, what are your goals? Not what are my goals. What are your goals? How are you going to invest? What is your style? Do you feel more safe and more comfortable being invested in 10 different companies that are in 10 different industries? Or do you feel more safe and comfortable investing in 3 different companies that are in 3 different industries? Or are you comfortable with 1 or 2 or 5? The number depends on you. In my opinion, there's no need to own more than 3 different stocks. If we get up to $100,000 or more, then we can start to diversify more and go from 3 to 6, maybe 7 stocks. If you're going up to $1 million, you could go up to 7, maybe 10. Past 10, I don't see a real purpose in going past 10. Our goal is to be invested in those top 3 to 5 companies that we strongly believe in. There aren't many amazing, incredible companies of the decade out there. We want to find those companies of the decade. The next question we need to ask ourselves is, what kind of investor are you? Are you a growth investor or are you a value investor? Are you going for the dividend or are you going for the growth? What kind of investor are you, and what do you feel safe with? If you're a growth investor, then you're going to want to look for those companies that you believe have the most growth potential over the next 10 years. And if we look at companies like a Tesla, how many Teslas are there in a 10-year span, every 10 years? 1, 2, maybe 3 max in a decade. I'm talking about in a decade. How many Teslas are there? In my opinion, there's 1 of each decade. So if we want to put our money into something, we want to get the greatest returns with the least amount of risk. The way we truly minimize risk is through doing research. The more research we do, the more we're minimizing our risk, because we're looking at all the facts. If we're a true investor, we're going to look at both sides of the coin. We're not going to just be a perma bull on a company and be like, yep, this company is great. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no risks. It's just all sailing straight up. That's where we're going. No, you're not going to get far if you think like that. So what we need to do is we need to be able to be rational. We need to take a look at the facts of each company. We need to look at, what are the pros? What are the cons? What are the risks? When we have weighed out all the risks, the pros and the cons, we need to ask ourselves, do I believe in this company? And if we have a strong level of conviction in the company, we're going to invest in it. The stronger level of conviction we have, the more heavily we're going to weight our portfolio with that company and with that stock. So again, in my opinion, if we have $10,000 to invest today, we're going to want to choose anywhere from 1 to 3 different businesses, which are stocks. If we have more than 10,000, we're getting up to that $100,000 mark. We're going to want to possibly have around 3 to 5 companies. We can certainly stick to 3 companies, no matter how much money we have. Maybe we don't feel comfortable doing that. Today, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, 46% of Berkshire Hathaway is in Apple. Berkshire Hathaway A has a $475 billion market cap. We're looking at half of all that being invested into Apple. So at the end of the day, just keep in mind, there's no magical number of stocks It depends on how many stocks make you feel comfortable with your investment. The reason why we would potentially diversify further than 3 stocks is if we want to feel safer by being in different sectors, right? There's an auto sector, right? There's an energy sector. There's a financial sector going into the banks. There's a bunch of different sectors that are out there. So we can choose different sectors if that makes us feel safer by not just being heavily invested in one sector in case a black swan event comes out and just affects that one sector. Because if it does, then you could essentially kiss your gains goodbye by being all in on that one sector. I am personally all in on Tesla stock, and I own some real estate. I am okay with being all in with Tesla based on my own research, and I understand that there is a potential for a black swan event to go ahead and take them out. I'm okay with that risk. I believe in the company enough to go ahead and put that amount of my portfolio weighted into that company. There's no use for me to come out and say, yeah, the best thing to do is to go ahead and put all your money in one stock. You could look at my portfolio and be like, wow, Anthony, you went up 300% in 1 year. Your strategy must be the best. It's like, well, no. My strategy is technically the riskiest because it's all in on one company. You may not be able to sleep at night knowing that all of your money is in one company. And I can tell you from personal experience, it has not been easy whatsoever being invested in Tesla. I can tell you right now that looking at this chart, it looks like it's very easy to be invested in Tesla. It looks like that you're just going straight up. But I can tell you this, if you get down to the nitty gritty, it is an extreme roller coaster because there was tons of media coming out saying the company's going bankrupt. Meanwhile, I have all my money in the company, but I'm continuing to believe myself based on the research I've done and then stick with my conviction. I watched myself go up from 100,000 to 350,000 back down to 100,000. And I watched it each day. I watched it happen and I didn't sell. I wanted to sell so many times. I was afraid. I was extremely afraid that the company would never recover because we're going through COVID. That's what this dip was. Then I see it spike up. There's plenty of times where I would think that I should sell some shares or I should take some profits. And I didn't. I stuck to my guns because, again, I continued to research. The only way I was able to stick to my guns was by researching the company every single day of my life ever since I invested in the company. So I invested in Tesla, and every single day I would be up to date with the latest research, what were the news coming out. I'm staying on top of all the financials every single day. And if I didn't do that, I can promise you I would have been shaken out of the company and I was sold out. Who knows when? I could have sold out when it zoomed up to 500, and then it would have been hitting myself because it went up to 1,500 and I would have way more gains. But just because I was able to stay on top of the company by researching daily, I maintained the same level of conviction and I was more aware of the swings in the stock. When I saw the stock go down, I knew why the stock went down. When I saw the stock going up, I knew why the stock was going up. When I saw it go up even more, I knew why it was going up and it made sense to me. The future trends all made sense to me because I stayed in and I was researching the company frequently enough. The reason why I'm sharing all this is because now imagine, how are you supposed to do that for 5 to 10 companies? If you're diversified in 5 to 10 companies, how are you able to stay on top of 5 to 10 companies daily or weekly? Daily is a bit excessive, but weekly, how are you supposed to stay up on these all 5 or all 10 companies weekly enough for you to maintain your level of conviction through drastic swings in the stock price? That's just my question to you. Maybe you're able to do that. I personally am running the business. I have multiple jobs. There's a lot of time that I don't have to put into researching 5 to 10 different companies every single day or every single week. For me, it's literally a part-time job just to research Tesla enough to stay in it and maintain that same level of conviction. So I can't imagine myself maintaining that same level of conviction with 5 companies or 10 companies. So in my opinion, the best bet, the sweet spot is 3 companies because we can stay on top of 3 companies. Even if we invest in 10 companies, there's going to be 1, 2, or 3 that are gold out of those 10. So it's our job to weed out all the others and decide on the 1, 2, 3, maybe 5. It depends on what makes you feel the best, what makes you feel comfortable at the end of the day. That's going to conclude this video. If you have $10,000 to invest in, I suggest 3 stocks. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you found some value from this and found this useful. Subscribe for more financial education content just like this video and more updates of my portfolio. I'll see you in the next video.